Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So did Motorola get it right? Now, Motorola just announced the Motorola Edge Plus. Now this device is something they're trying to get into, a different kind of device, a device that the type they just hadn't produced in so long, which is a device with some of the quote unquote higher end processors and things like that. Lots of RAM, big battery. So speaking of which, this device is going to have a 6.7-inch display. It's got 108 megapixel. One of the cameras is 108 megapixel. They've got the 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and 865 processor. All the basics. Oh, and 5G. All the basics of what a person would say is, according to today's standards, this is the direction that they need to go in. Well, I recently picked up Motorola's devices, and I'll be giving you some coverage on that soon. I just feel like Motorola, in the direction that they're going, they're going to try to compete with the likes of other OEMs that produce this type of device. Now, I'm not saying it's bad or any kind of way. I think they need to price it right, and they will sell, or people would like it, or people will be more prone to buy it more than likely. Just like the V60, it's a device that's priced just right and is offering a lot by today's standards. So Motorola is bringing this device, and Motorola, I picked up the lower cost ones, the ones 200, those ones. So Motorola is not trying something new, I guess, getting back to their roots, because it's been a long time since they produced a flagship labeled device. And they're getting ready to see how this works out, and I hope that, they get the target audience that they're looking for. So with that being said, though, what do you guys think about the design of the new Motorola device? I think it's actually a really sleek looking design. It's following along with all the other phones that are out today. The style, it's got a big display, big enough that is. So, it's going to be, I think it's going to be quad HD. No, it's going to be full HD. Let's see. Let's look at these tech specs. Let's look at the full. So it's going to be a full HD plus 90 hertz refresh rate OLED display. Endless edge is what they're calling it. So, how do you guys feel about that? Now, if the phone is priced at $1,000 or above, people are going to probably try to frown on that, because now you have the likes of OnePlus coming out, and the OnePlus 8s. I've been going in there trying to buy it, but it keeps, every time it's available, I'm doing something else. I've been really taking care of other things, with all the things that are going on. I've got a lot of other things to take care of, and so I want to put that first, and that's more important than doing YouTube videos overall. But I still enjoy doing this content and bringing you these vlogs and news. And I think that what OnePlus is doing, again, is another direct competitor. This device, this Motorola Edge Plus, is a direct competitor for that. It's a direct competitor for the V60. It's a direct competitor for the S20 line. But I think Motorola will continue to win when it comes to their lower price devices. Those devices I always flock to them every year, and I end up buying a couple of them. So, but this device isn't gonna do bad. It's on paper, this device is not a bad phone in any kind of way. It's just when it comes down to the pricing. Now, I mean, I'm a reviewer, but seeing as though I buy most of my devices, like 99% of them, I have to look at cost. And if this device is priced correctly, I think it's gonna do well amongst the tech community, if you will. And I think they're not holding back in any kind of way. The camera setup here, let's see here. This camera setup, I read it before, but it's 108 megapixel, and then it's got an 8 megapixel for telephoto. It's got a ultra wide lens as well. I mean, there's just a lot. It's got a high res zoom 3 times. So you've got portrait, macro shot. The macro shot is going to be pretty interesting. Motorola's been doing things like that. Electronic video stabilization, so I'm kind of concerned about that. But you do have full HD on the front is what it shoots. You do probably shoot 4K on the rear. I'm looking for the video for the rear. I don't see any specifics. The front is a 25 megapixel. The rear shoots 6K footage. Wow, 6K footage at 30 frames per second. So that's different. And then you've got obviously 4K at 30, and then you've got full HD at 60 and 30. So that 6K video, I think they're doing that for one to stand apart, and then another thing is I think they want to give you footage that's gonna. It's like Sony, this Sony camera I have. You guys always say, "Man, Jay, that footage looks amazing now. What camera are you using?" I get that a lot now, and Sony's footage is scaled down, so they're giving you the higher quality and scaling it down and limiting the camera to 4K. And then if I scale this down to 1080p, it's just gonna be even more crispy. And so I think that is, and don't quote me on this, but I would think that with them doing 6K instead of 8K at 25 or 24 like everybody else, or 15 or whatever it is, the 8K footage is cool, but the 6K footage, if you scale that back after you shoot it and produce it at 4K, it should look fantastic. So, and it's 30 frames per second, so it should be relatively really good footage, but I won't know until I get my hands on it. So I think that they're going to do great with that camera. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it's going to do well. Now, another thing I noticed about the phone is the dual speaker setup, and it's tuned by waves, so that's different. And you also have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So again, some people, they don't think that's important, but a ton of other people do. And it's really important to note that the headphone jack can be utilized in more ways than one. So it is a technology that is, from the beginning. But I think if companies leave it in there and just give us the option, I think today we lose all our options and we pay more money. And I don't think that's right. So I feel like if they're going to do this, they've got to do it right. They've got to make sure that they don't hold anything back. Now, it only comes in two colors, smoky and smoky sangria. Smoky sangria and thunder gray. So, that's not a bad thing. That smoky sangria is probably going to be really nice. But, the design of the phone, the display, just the overall package, it should look beautiful. I mean, and I can't wait to experience it. So, but first, I have to cover, if I could get a loaner unit, that would be great. It's tough for me to get loaner, or I'll just have to buy it. But I think it's probably going to be exclusive to Verizon. That's going to suck too, man, because the 5G, ultimately, what they're saying is, I think Verizon does have an exclusive on this one, just like the Razr. And that's unfortunate because if it does come out to be just an exclusive for Verizon, that's unfortunate because you hold back your customer experience, and people don't get to experience it. So whatever they do, the device itself, it should do okay. And unfortunately, these days, all of these phones are spec'd pretty well. But if you bring in the price point too high, like some people just don't like the V60, or for some reason, I think this is probably the best offering from Android at the moment. But the OnePlus 8 just arrived, so I don't have my OnePlus 8 yet. I've been logging in. I can't seem to get one, so I gotta wait a week like everybody else. I see a lot of people posting stuff saying they got it and blah blah blah, and I'm happy. But honestly, like I said, I'm not gonna say I'm busy. I'm making time for what's important, so I'm not really focusing on that. So I've got several phones ordered, but we'll see how this works out. But some people don't like the V60 for some reason. The V60, to me personally, is the best value that Android is offering, but the OnePlus 8 is here. Now, the OnePlus 8 doesn't offer any kind of dual screen option, and they've got different price ranges. They've got a $699, they've got a $799, they've got an $899 and a $999. So they've got all these different price ranges, $100 difference. And the V60 just has $799 or $899. And with that $899, you get two of these bad boys. Ultimately, you get a second screen, which is pretty cool, and you get a case, so you don't need to buy anything. So and right now, speaking of cases, there are not a lot of options for this phone right now. It's very depressing. But the Motorola Edge Plus, who do you think it's competing with? I think it's competing directly with the market, but it's more competing because it's stock Android. So it's in the software. I don't even need to talk about that because the software on Motorola phones is fantastic. Let's just see it for what it is. They have great software. They've got a whole bunch of tweaks and perks and stuff. Even the phones that I bought that cost like $200, their new phone, that phone also has, they're doing like Samsung. Not that they're mimicking Samsung, but they have the functionality of some of their high-end devices on their lower price devices, and that's a win for us. We want to be able to experience some of the things that are on these higher price phones, and still not come out of the pocket too much. So if you've heard the official pricing, let me know. I'm thinking it's going to be around 1,000 though, so it shouldn't be more than 1,000, I should say. 1,000 or less, and then they take themselves up in the category, and so people are going to expect more, and I don't blame them for it. But my sights are actually set on their, well, I've already told you I bought them. So I bought the one of the Motorola's, their lower cost ones. So my sights are set on that, the Red Magic 5G, and then also the OnePlus 8. And I plan on grabbing, honestly, both of the OnePluses because I really want to experience both. I want to see what they're both about. The Plus, I'm fine with waiting. I probably won't have these phones until May or something because they're not available again for another week. So I want to compare my experience. Not so much just the device. I want to compare my experience with the Motorola Edge Plus, the V60, the OnePlus. The V60, I think I've done all I can do with the V60 as far as reviews go. I've compared it a lot. I've done a lot with this phone. It's just a favorite, and it'll get set to the side in favor of the OnePlus 8, 8 Pro, and the Moto Edge, and then the other Motorola device. I gotta, this phone is beautiful. I'll give you another follow-up probably, but the OnePlus devices are going to get my full attention, and I'm really excited to review those, and I'm really excited to purchase this if I can, if it's something I could get. But definitely getting one or both of the OnePluses, possibly at the same time. I don't know. I've already got the allocated funds. I've been saving, so I should be okay with that. I've just been stacking aside the funding for some of these phones, and when the OnePlus came in at $699, I was really pumped. I was like, yo, this is gonna be nice. So I think it's the Plus is the one that I'm really concerned about. I really want to try the Plus. I already have cases for the Plus, or the Pro, the OnePlus 8 Pro and the OnePlus 8, so I'm concerned about that. But the Motorola Edge, my concern with this phone is, how is it going to stack up against this device and the OnePlus 8 Pro and the OnePlus 8? How is it going to stack up against those phones? Because to me, that's the real competition right there for them. That is the competition, and I really like to get your thoughts on it, man. So what do you think? How do you think Motorola is going to do with this? I know their lower end devices are going to do fantastic, but how do you think they're going to do with this particular device? And what do you think of the target audience? Well, the target audience is obviously people who want a big screen and a powerful device, but I wonder how they're going to do their marketing. How is OnePlus going to win people over with their marketing? Because a lot of companies don't do very well just because of their marketing. They didn't market a phone correctly, or this phone, case in point, is getting more marketing from me, I think, and Eric, and I think Nighttech just bought it too. Lots of people, you the fans of LG, you're giving this phone marketing. How is Motorola gonna not have to rely on that and give us the marketing that we need to really understand their approach, their product, and let us decide whether or not we want to give them 800 to 1,000 or whatever it's gonna cost? So I want to talk to you in the comments. It's your man Jay, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.